Today, we're very lucky to have Sam Seaton with us. Sam's the Chief Executive Officer of Moneyhub, a leading UK fintech. And I wanted to get Sam's view on the FCA's recent proposed changes to the UK's version of the regulatory technical standards. So, Sam, thanks for joining. Can you tell us a little tiny bit about yourself and about Moneyhub?
Yeah, so great to be here on this Friday, as we're talking about. Nice sunny day outside. So let's hope everyone else is enjoying it. But yeah, the background for me really, for the takeaway for this audience is that I grew up in Towers Perrin, which is now Willis Towers Watson. That's where I really learnt my trade, so to speak. And the one thing I really did learn in all of that is how little the consumer gets a shout out about their finances. So having been involved in developing institutional products, seeing them taken to market, you get to understand fundamentally how difficult it is for a consumer to really know what they're buying in terms of financial services and products. So that's why me now at Moneyhub, I'm loving it, because I think I finally found my way right to the front, where I get to really understand how the consumer works, and I get to help enterprises with those consumers, and I think do a better job. I mean, you can see from my background, I mean, I kind of really feel it is all about enhancing the financial wellness of everyone, really. That's what I feel we should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, open banking's been around now in the UK for a few years. How would you describe the current status of open banking? How's it working for you and for your customers?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, it's still early days. It's a massive change. I mean, who would have thought that you would be able to, as a consumer, choose to see all your bank accounts in one place with all manner of providers, from the big guns right through to the little fintechs that are doing an incredible job at attacking certain parts of the market that need kind of turning over, if you like. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, I think someone said to me a while back when I described Moneyhub, what we do, and they're like, "Oh, when I was in financial services, I'd have given my right arm to be able to bring everyone's finances together." And you think, yeah, because it just didn't seem possible that long ago.
Yeah, no, it's pretty powerful. So I mean, one of the things that obviously the FCA are doing, and I think there's been a lot of talk about the regulatory technical standards, the RTS requirement for the customer to re-authenticate every 90 days. And this was the first part of their proposal, is to effectively remove that need for the customer to have to go into back to their bank every 90 days to re-authenticate, and put that in the hands of the third party, that the third party manages the consent. What's your view on that proposal? How do you think that's going to impact you and your customers?
Well, I think it's a good thing, because it puts the onus back into the consumer's hand. And the reason I say that is because we were fortunate enough to have aggregated pre-open banking and post. Mm-hmm. So I can share with this group here, which might surprise the group, to understand that when we went from screen scraping to open banking, that we actually got a lot of pushback from the customers saying, what's this re-authentication? I used to just have my account hooked up and it just worked. And actually, a few of them that had what I call pre-open banking experience were quite annoyed. And some of them even asked if they could go back. They were like, well, can we go back to screen scraping? We're like, well, no, you can't. Mm-hmm. So I think we've got to appreciate that, all of us, people, we're busy, we've got lots going on. And actually, really, convenience is still king. So, but what I would like to, I guess, bring out is that just because you're putting that back in the hands of the TPPs with the consumers, it doesn't mean that you won't engage with the consumer to do it in the right way. I think we've got to understand that the more transparent we get, the more we put in the hands of the consumer, the more knowledge they have. So the more they want to know what's happening with my data, with what you're doing with it. So I think, you're only going to win if you actually take the consumer on the journey with you. So I actually see it as a good thing, personally.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. I tend to agree. I've been a big advocate of this for a while, so I'm very, very glad the FCA are taking this stance.
And I'll add one more thing to that. You know, if we really want to help people, you've got to remember that if having to re-authenticate at the moment, you know, every 90 days, we automate a lot of things for people. So alerts, nudges, we can predict you're going to go into an overdraft in time, you know, because of our cash flow forecast based on what you've been doing. But you imagine if you forget to authenticate, and suddenly all those alerts you've got, they're gone. And only because you didn't authenticate or didn't realize you'd forgotten to do it or meant to do it. I think we've got to understand the downside about some of the things that we stress about, you know, the risk of these things. I always try and think, well, hang on, what about the risk of it not being done? What happens then?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And I think that the second part to their proposal or recommendation, if you like, is to effectively require that all retail account providers deliver an API. I mean, up until now, there's been this sort of get out of jail clause or card, if you like, for firms who couldn't meet the requirements for an exemption. So firms who couldn't get an API that worked well enough, they were allowed to do this horrible kludge called a modified customer interface. And it appears, reading the FCA's comments on this, that they're looking to effectively rule that out for UK firms and require that they all provide an API. What do you feel about that, and what does that mean for you and your customers?
So that's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a yes, right? I mean, what planet were they on? I mean, honestly. So we spend years, Chris, don't we? Years getting beaten up for screen scraping. In fact, I still get beaten up for screen scraping some of the, you know, the investment clients, right? They still get mortified when they discover they're being screen scraped by their customers, you know. And so that we get all of that for years. Then we go into open banking and suddenly it's legal for them to have a loophole to get out the API by screen scraping. What happened there?
Yeah.
So can we just get on and do APIs, please? I mean, you know, and this is not all esoteric accounts. So, okay, some of them are. So, you know, I'm quite happy to call them out. HSBC Private Bank is MCA. So, you know, tricky to, you know, to bring into the fold. But equally, John Lewis credit card. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be a very positive thing if this does get approved, definitely. What do you think are the main areas that could or should be changed? Other areas that you think would make a big difference?
So I do think genuinely the reliability. So I think there needs to be a little bit more, or I'd like to see a little bit more done on where people get called out for having, you know, what I call, you know, outages. And the reason I say that is because consumers don't expect it. So it's very tricky for, I think, all the TPPs or even if it's a big bank providing a service, you know, via, you know, in effect, there are other banking, you know, in the market. You try telling a consumer that, you know, the Barclays connection's down. What do you mean the Barclays connection's down? It's like Barclays doesn't go down, does it? Like my Barclays app is here. What do you mean? And of course, it makes no sense to a consumer that it's a different connection, you know, as in different technology. And so this can be down, but that isn't. I think we need to be held, you know, this is proper kind of accessibility that's meant to match what you get on your banking app. So match it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's certainly something that's really at the heart of Ozone's DNA to try and give all banks, all account providers something, you know, an API that is extremely reliable. That means there's no excuse for them to have to carry on with screen scraping. And yeah, I mean, I think the benefits you've highlighted, the benefits are fairly obvious. Okay, listen, Sam, thank you so much. I mean, personally, just to summarize, I'm really glad that we've got a regulator who's actually, I think they're listening to the markets and they're prepared to make changes. So I think I'm really excited and interested to see how this plays out. But once again, thank you very much for joining us today, Sam. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.